live.
I think so. Now we are. What? Are you ready? Are you ready? Gotta get the theme tune. Gotta get the theme tune. Oh, where's my notes? Woo! Hello and welcome to the We Only Do One Take podcast lockdown again edition. I am Turch. With me is my co-host, the CEO of the show, the potential dog owner. I don't even know what to call you anymore, but you definitely solved a FBI murder mystery. It's Kieran. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing very well. And sorry, everyone, a few technical issues.
There was a lot of technical issues
with the
both
fancy
ends,
headphones and the app not working, and shout out to Niall.
Shout out to Niall. He got the headphones working, and that's the important thing. That's the important thing there. I can't believe that we're back in a lockdown for Melbourne. We're back.
Well, it's not a lockdown just yet.
Well,
what do you reckon? Tomorrow, lockdown.
Yeah, well, let's see. I've already got my COVID test done and dusted.
So you've had the COVID test. That means you can't go out. You're stuck at home.
I am in lockdown. Yeah,
and you're not going to get your results. You're not going to get your results till tomorrow.
Yes, that's right. So I thought to myself, what better way to spend my time than talking to you on the internet on a Tuesday when we usually record our show? But we thought, let's share it with the world. Let's share it with the world of the professionalism that goes on when we do record a regular episode. And look, we're on the YouTube. If you haven't subscribed to us on YouTube, you can find a whole bunch of good stuff there, including all the live shows, the actual chats with some of our international guests, our conversation with the Flat Earther, which was an absolute riot. Plenty of stuff to go over there.
Tell me more about that recent conversation you had.
Okay, so I recently had an interview. I interviewed a gentleman who believed that he was an archangel, which is not a regular kind of angel, a different kind of angel with certain powers that God himself gave him powers, and he's met God. Yeah. And in the same time, the US government with these special telepathic police, STP, and every time I heard STP, when he said it, all I could think of was Stone Temple Pilots, the band. But that's beside the point. What he was trying to discuss to me or tell me about was his experiences being an archangel, how he became one, and what was happening with the STP. And the things that he was talking about was probably the weirdest and the most uncomfortable conversation I've had with someone ever. At one stage, he was telling me that no female or black STP officers were allowed to track him anymore because he found out that some of them were attracted to their own children. It was. You want to listen to it?
I'm really looking forward to listening to this one.
Okay, so we are gonna. You know what? I've sent it to you for pre-screening.
Yeah. I haven't listened to it yet, so I think it's tomorrow when I get in the car and go for my drive. It is going to be. I'm going to listen to that.
I have sent it to you. It's on Dropbox. So definitely have a listen to it. If you think it's okay, we will release it. If not, that might be something that we can share with some of our. If you email us, we'll share it with you and we'll let you know, because it might be one of those conversations that never gets to air. Like there's a few other interviews like that, but this one here I needed to talk to someone about because it was a little bit too insane from my end. But what a week that we've had here in sunny Melbourne, from going out to doing a real live what was it called? A cinema, active
Uh,
cinema
uh,
experience,
I
interactive
called it
cinema
an
experience.
interactive cinema experience, which I had,
Yeah,
number
yeah.
one, no idea what the hell an interactive cinema experience
No,
is. Number two, there was too much pre-reading. So I had
there
no
was a lot of
idea
pre-reading.
pre-reading. So I'm really glad that I was able to copy and plagiarize off other people.
I was. I had a good time. We got to watch Silence of the Lambs at the end. Awesome fun. But the 20 minutes of tr- standing around and talking to our friends and copying off our answers, I could have used more action. I know I died during the interactive activity,
You
but
did. You did.
nonetheless, just like Clarice in the film, she died in her activity. That's how faithful I was in replicating the movie, I guess. Unlike you guys who just didn't know. You know, that's just the genius of me. What can I say? What can I
And I have
say?
to
But then
say,
again,
our good friend Sasha, who was acting in it,
yes,
um, you know, she kept her composure when we were somewhat intoxicated.
you could learn a thing or two because she was basically a presenter giving a lecture on psychology. You could learn a thing or two.
No, I was trying to mimic you, Turch. I was trying to hang on.
My favorite was when I was wait, here we go. There you go.
The
Open
hands,
handed.
the hands. No one in YouTube world knows what we're talking about.
That's right. No, my dad was there as well. He was sitting next to me, and they're like, "Oh, open palms like this means open palms like this means that you know you've got that interconnection. You're open about things." And I'm like, "Yeah, but in Italian, if you're doing this to someone, everyone's like, he's okay." But Jess is asking the important question. Tell us about how you spilled a drink all over yourself
Well,
very early in the evening. Very
that's a very
early on in the evening.
that is a story, and I will tell you a little bit about this. I think we have to backtrack to the beginning of the evening where I had two pre-drinks before I left. So I was
That's
in a
pretty
good
good.
mood. Good
You
mood.
were. And then we got to
Getting
the bar and it was happy hour and it was espresso martinis for $10. And I
yeah.
think you smashed down two as well as a beer.
I had so there was 15 minutes left of happy hour. And I was like, I'm not going to be a fool who just gets one drink. I'm ordering two
No,
for
you did.
myself.
Yes.
So I got a pint and I got an espresso martini.
Yes.
And then before happy hour ended, someone else went to the bar and I requested it was another pint and it was another espresso martini. So 2 pints at dinner and 2 espresso martinis at dinner.
You were just jittery and tired at the same time. Uppers and downers, mate. You were in both.
which was before we turn up, and then obviously we had turned up to the venue and there was some waiting and I was bored and there was a bar.
There was
And
a
I was
bar.
like, you know what? I'm going to get another drink. Don't know what
You
all
did
you
it.
people are doing waiting around.
Well, we were trying to solve the puzzle. The whole
Well,
point of
the guy was talking to the whole group, and I couldn't really hear him. And then there was the bar over there with no line, and it was like, well, do I listen to the guy or do I go to the bar? I'll go to the bar. So I went to the bar, and then
I'm very proud
I'm
of you.
standing there. You guys are on the other side because you had different instructions than what I had.
No, we
I
didn't.
I had to find this character called Swift, which
Yeah.
and her profile was that she was very stuck up,
Uh-huh.
and I called her Swifty,
Uh-huh.
and that character didn't like being called Swifty, which I thought was hilarious, and so I had to tell her something, but I couldn't remember what I had to tell her because I didn't read the instructions, right? So she's telling me like, what do you need to tell me? And I'm like, well, I don't know what I need to be doing here. All I know
I'm
is I
very
need to
proud
find
of you. The whole way through, you just had
Yeah.
no idea what was going on.
No
And every
idea.
time I saw you, especially during the breaks, you had another drink in your hand. And then right at the end, everyone graduated and they're like special honors to these people. And somehow you were on that list as well
That's right. That's
of,
right. I got
of the
on. I
people
got on
who
this.
got the clues and got the answers across the board. So I'm very proud of you. But we had a
Thank
great
you.
time. Would absolutely do one again.
But Turch, I haven't told you how I spilt the drink.
It's the important part of the story.
This is the important part. I when the guy was talking, I was like, I'll take a photo. I'll take a photo of what's going on. You know, good to have these memories.
Yeah, classic
And
Agent Frank work here.
and as I'm leaning back, I've got this full glass, and it spills all over my shirt.
My
Which
question
thankfully
is,
I had a jacket, but more importantly, there was a person I didn't know who had joined us as part of our group who was friends with Sasha. Anyway, it turns out that she's a psychologist, and talking to her, she knows one of my work colleagues.
oh, there
So
you go.
I was like, oh shit, I made a fool of myself on Friday night. I hope this doesn't get back to my work colleagues. So I'm
I hope
talking
it
to one of
does.
my work colleagues, and I'm like, oh, do you know such and such? She's like, never heard of her. Oh,
Oh.
because she knows you. She's like, oh, how do you know? Oh, I was at this event on Friday night. No real reason, but you sure you don't know this person?
You really had to double check. That's right. They only knew you as Agent Frank anyway. They wouldn't have known your real name. So your alias, your coffee alias name, your undercover coffee alias name,
Thank
finally comes in handy. Absolutely right. I don't know what you guys are talking about. They keep talking about how they love the theme tune. Maybe because it's the first time I've played the theme tune for a while when we've done a live show. Usually we just go
By the way,
straight
is
into
the
it.
theme tune getting slower? Because I noticed it last time I was at your house, and I think maybe the time before that. I'm like, something's off with this theme tune.
Kieran.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is the 6th time in a row.
Yeah.
6 weeks I've been doing this. I've been slowing down the theme tune by 3 beats per minute.
Uh-huh.
This is the 6th week it's happened.
All right, well, I
I've been
noticed
trying to distract you and work it out.
I noticed something 3 weeks ago. I was like, that doesn't sound right, because especially last week, I was going to say something, but you went like straight into whatever it is, and then I was like, all right, we're going into a rant.
Okay, so the long game has finally been uncovered. Yes, I've been slowing it down by 3. For some reason, I had this in the back of my mind that this would be the funniest joke ever, and I got the regular recording, I slowed it down, saved it, and in my mind, I was cackling to myself for about 30 minutes. And then Jess finally comes into the room and goes, what is so funny? And I go, I've got this joke idea for Kieran. I'm just every week, let's see how far it goes till he realizes it and I slowed down the theme tune and she didn't find it funny. And then I started to play her the theme tunes back to back with the different speeds.
Yeah.
And she lost it. Also, Alice knew, and I'm pretty sure Redongo knew as well because he messaged me about something else. So, for everyone's listening pleasure, we're going to listen to what the theme tune is and what the theme tune ended up. And I actually saved some today a little bit slower just in case you didn't pick it up today. But this is the last week I actually had it ready to rock and roll.
Right, all right. Well, well done. I made it. I graduated.
You made it. So this is the regular theme tune speed. Fast, upbeat tempo. This is what it was today. So you got every week you got a bit slower. Yeah.
I think it was that week I noticed.
I hoped it never got to this, but this was the usual theme tune is at 120 BPM, beats per minute.
Beats per minute.
That's right. That's right. This is what I only just saved down. This goes down to 90 BPM, and this is what I knew by at least this stage you would notice.
To be honest.
So thank you everyone for keeping the joke quiet and letting me just do it. I can't believe I got away with it this far.
Part of me also goes, I think it was last week as well. I was like, I wonder if his computer's just having it fit.
Every week, if you go back and listen to the episodes, but just the beginning of them, you can hear me going like, oh, I'm like, you gonna do it? And you go, woo! And it sort of distracts you a little bit. I try and get you a little bit distracted by doing things. I try like cheese you or whatever it is. So
I was wondering why you were finding my woos so funny.
It was pretty great. So yes, so I've been finding it extra funny because I felt like you weren't recognizing that the song was slowing down. And in my mind, I could hear it straight away. So I was laughing already off the bat. There was one episode, I think it was like the third or fourth one, where you didn't have your headphones on because you got those other headphones.
Oh, right. Yep.
And I'm like, oh, what a free night. What a free free night of jokes. So it worked out very well, very well. But Kieran, thank you for indulging me in the long 6-week prank. I can't believe it actually worked. I feel like it's very funny. I don't know if anyone else finds it as funny as I do, but I make me laugh, and that's all that really matters in this world. But I do have a rant. I hope you have a rant too, but I've definitely got a rant.
Yes.
Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Sasha Baron Cohan is my rant today.
Uh-huh.
I think he is a unfunny, politically juvenile, horrible person,
right?
Who is not funny and wants to stop comedy.
Well, you said not funny twice.
I'll say it 400 times. I'll say 400 times. So I hate this guy. I've hated him for a while. I don't know how anyone else feels about him.
Now backtrack. Is this
okay?
You hate him when he did Borat.
Okay, no. At one stage I didn't hate him, and as time has gone on, purely because of his actions, recently over the past at least 5 years, and his decline in quality of films.
Mm-hmm. Give me 1 second.
I don't like him anymore. Okay, good. So first thing, like when he had the Ali G show, funny, and obviously Borat is an absolute comedy classic staple film. That mockumentary, what is real, what isn't real film, amazing.
Right.
Amazing. And then he had films like Bruno, and I watched that, and that's not very funny. It's very one joke. It's about a gay guy.
Well, after Borat, the mockumentary is basically the same format.
Well, that's the thing. So when I think of mockumentaries, the greatest mockumentary of all time is Spinal Tap. Yeah. So even if I compare Borat, Borat was about 100% shock humor. The biggest scene in that is when they kidnap Pamela Anderson and the naked fight scene through the...
I was going to say, it's definitely the naked fight scene.
Exactly right. Very much shock humor. Whereas Spinal Tap, on the other hand, is about proper comedians saying jokes in the driest possible way, like it was a real documentary, to the point of where like Black Sabbath, Deep Purple, all these rock bands actually thought they were a real band and wanted them to tour with them. Because that's how much it felt real to these rock stars. But going on forward in his career, he did stuff like, Borat, he did The Dictator, he's done a few other little films here and there. And most recently, obviously, he's done This Is America, whatever that show was. I didn't watch that one, I must admit.
Oh, I got to admit, I think you would enjoy This Is America.
Maybe
No,
so.
Who is America? I think it is.
Who is America? Yeah.
I think you would enjoy that.
Okay, well maybe I'll have to give it a go because I do like to give. But I did watch the latest Borat.
I'll come
Borat
over.
Broken 2.
I'll come over, and we'll
Yeah.
watch Who Is America.
Okay, no worries. It's on Prime. Prime.
I don't know. We'll figure it out.
We'll figure it out.
We'll download it if we have to.
And I watched the latest Borat.
Yeah.
Now, out of all that thing, his comedy is very shock humor. It makes fun of Jews. It makes fun of gay people. It makes fun of the LGBTQI community. It makes fun of Republicans. It makes fun of everyone, right?
Uh-huh.
All across the board. Recently, he won an award for the Comedy Genius Award. Now, just hearing that, number one, remember the South Park episode with Funnybot and they give him an award and it's like, no, a comedy isn't meant to be given. You're not meant to give people awards in comedy because then people take it seriously and it's stupid.
Yeah.
Him accepting this award and being like, oh, how great's this is ridiculous.
Because if we ever won, I'll tell you what, if we ever won a podcast award.
Yeah, but a podcast award is different to a comedy award.
If we won a podcast award, we would take the Mickey out of it.
Yeah, of course we would. Because it's bullshit. Like, unless there's a dollar value coming in from this award, I don't really care. This is like, giving yourself an award. It doesn't mean anything. This is why your award show never works. Or the 420 award show by
at your wedding,
the guy
at your
that
wedding,
Cool
can I
Cats.
present at your wedding? Can I present the groom? No, the award, right? Like I hand you Jess as an award, or I hand you to Jess as an award.
I don't think either of us won each other as an award. I don't think it's a good prize for being fantastic at something. But anyway, he accepted this award.
the award, the newest married couple. I can get you some gold medals.
We're pretty fresh. We'll be pretty fresh at that point in time. Coming from the torpedo, I think that might be quite meaningful. But making sure that's not your only gift that you give us. That's all I'm going to say.
I don't know. But someone might be lucky enough to get a spoon.
one singular spoon. That's it. Anyway, he then proceeded to cancel himself because he doesn't believe cancel culture is a real thing.
Uh-huh.
So he came on and cancelled himself for all the things that he's done. So, do you know what cancel culture is?
Yeah, it's where the people, said something politically incorrect, and people go,
yeah. So a good example of that
is let me do it anymore.
Exactly. What's that short black comedian's name? I can't remember his name off the top of my head now. He was going to host the Oscars.
Yeah.
But then
they found some tweets.
Like 10 years ago, they were homophobic.
Yeah.
And they said, no, you can't host the Oscars anymore. I'm like, well, that's messing with your livelihood for most likely a joke that you've written, right? So this is Sasha Baron Cohan, going back to him. He's done that. He's cancelled himself because it's like, oh, how ironic you can cancel yourself because obviously cancel culture isn't real. Then he's come out not too long ago saying that Twitter is the biggest cause of anti-Semitism in the world. And he's blaming Twitter for the rise of it. Now, remember, let's go back to the Borat character, right?
Uh-huh.
How many times did the Borat character say that they hated Jews? Especially in the first film.
Well, that's funny because, the actor's Jewish.
I know, but why would you, go, oh, you can still make jokes about it. That's absolutely fine. But how many people went, actually, I kind of believe this Kazakhstanian character that he's created and believe
that. Yeah.
Exactly right. So I think
some people believe the actor that was in Prison Break was a real prisoner.
Yeah, well, some people are special. What can I say? Some people think that we actually do a proper show, but here we are. Okay, so there's so much stuff. I'm going to try and do a quick whip around. One of the things that he's decided to become like Sarah Silverman and a few other, comedians, have decided to become political pundits, right? And have decided that their opinion as a comedian is worth a lot in the public's eyes. So last year, he came out and said that this law that was coming out, Section 230, was he said it was a good thing, right? And Section 230 was going to, so if you say something bad on social media, then it's not your responsibility of what happens. The liability of that goes to Twitter or Facebook or wherever you posted it.
Right.
So anyone can say anything on there and they have no responsibility, but the platform itself now takes responsibility for what you've said.
But isn't Twitter more like, Telstra or Optus, the carrier service?
Yeah, it's just a host. So he wanted Twitter for all this anti-Semitism or whatever, racism, sexism, that sort of stuff, for them to take responsibility for what other people have said. In that sort of sense. But that's not their responsibility. That's like going, if these platforms are like, meeting places in town, like town squares, that's what they're the equivalent of. If you go there and say, whatever racism, homophobic, whatever it is, thing in the town square, it's not the town square's fault or the town's fault that you've said it. It's the individual's fault. So by pushing for this thing to this Section 230 to be approved, which didn't go through, thankfully, he would have basically been closing down all social media outlets ever, and would have the amount of responsibility a website would have for its users. It would be.
I promise you that I'm going to try my best to get Sasha Baron Cohan on this podcast, so you can confront him about Section 230 and his idiotic views.
He's lost. He's lost already.
And I think it will be wonderful. And
he wants more restrictions. But on that, he continues to push more social media to moderate more through all this sort of
adult. This is just me. Any adult on social media that A, can't turn it off, right, or B, just go, what the fuck are these people talking about, and ignore it and move on.
This is what I don't understand. He's a comedian, right? He's not meant to be. He hasn't got any knowledge about this sort of thing. He's just trying to get some brownie points with God knows what, But that's the thing. He's like, don't make fun of people like the LGBTQI, ethnics, Jews, whatever it is on the internet. But a
comedian's job is to make fun of everything.
That's right. So, but his job is to make fun of everything. He's made a career.
British Airways loses everyone's bags, whether you're Jewish, Islam,
that's right,
Australian,
so he's Italian. He's trying to stop people making jokes on social media about these topics, but he's made a whole fucking career out of it.
That's right.
It's like, I can do it, but you can't. I'm holier than now.
Hold the TV stations to account.
It's the holier than now. I'm in the right. I'm in the the elite people in Hollywood. There's so many that do it, but in this case here, he's like, I'm better than you guys because I've already done those jokes. I'm done with all that, but now no one else should be able to. It's like, it's like your parents back in the day would have drank and smoked and this and that. And as you're growing up, they're like, don't do that. It's like, well, you just, those who without sin cast the first stone.
I want you to imagine something here. Don't get religious on me. All right. I'm going to switch off so fast. All right. I want you to imagine something. All right. 5 years time. You're really successful. You're really famous. You've moved to Hollywood. You've made a good 500 million. Actually, no, I'm going to rephrase that. You're made $1 million or so.
Okay,
right.
$1 million.
You're climbing up quickly. Yeah. And the crowd that you're with, and you've got to be with this crowd to get more and more,
Yeah.
you have to turn SJW.
No, I wouldn't.
And you have to turn
Absolutely not.
cancer
No,
culture.
no, I absolutely would not, because Bill Burr doesn't have to do it. You know what I mean? There are definitely people in Hollywood that are
I
not
actually reckon the ones that
SJW at all.
I reckon the ones that don't are the best. I
They
am
are.
just like, you're hilarious,
Fuck.
you're great,
Even Mel Gibson is great.
you're
Like,
true.
you know,
Authentic. Authentic
yeah.
is the way to go.
You know, even like Adam Sandler's still doing like what he needs to do. He doesn't
Yeah.
get involved. I think if you're an actor or an entertainer of any kind, do not get involved in politics. You know, I don't want to hear what Snoop Dogg has to say about abortion. I don't want to hear what, Johnny Depp has to say about, I don't know, like social media,
Republicans
anything.
buy Michael Jordan's shoes too.
Yeah,
That was the
exactly
best-
right. Like, I
that was
remember
the
watching that
best
in the
line, Michael
documentary.
Jordan. Yeah.
He's just like, yeah, everyone buys my shoes. Why would I alienate half of my audience? Perfect. And, play your basketball, gamble, do what you want. Just keep your politics to yourself, because either you're going to lose half your audience, or eventually it's all going to backfire on you. And that cancel culture is really going to go for you 100%, because you're going to make one. Look, and what's her name? J.K. Rowling, the Harry Potter author, is the perfect example of that. The whole way through, she will like turn more SJW, trying to succumb to things like, yeah, we've got to, Dumbledore's gay. The what's it called? There's a Jewish guy at the school, and then all of them turned on her because she made one subtly wrong opinion about something very small. Redonga, you're absolutely right. Sasha Baron Cohan is the Maddox of cinema, once funny and respected, who went off the deep end, the SJW train. I don't know what it is about these comedians that decide, yeah, we've got to jump 100% fully in, because again, like you said, Kieran, they lose half their audience. They lose the grit. They lose that realism. They lose that.
I still would consider Sasha as an actor rather than a comedian.
Maybe he doesn't do stand up, but his
Yeah.
films are all comedic.
They are.
There's that comedic element within it. I mean, that's like, they're trying to go for Joe Rogan at the moment, the same type of thing. He's a comedian that happens to host a podcast, right? And they're going after him because they've said he's said something wrong. He's got such a stranglehold of,
and we're podcasters pretending to be comedians, so it all works. Yeah,
it all works out,
Huh? Did you like that one? Did you like
it's
that?
Very good. It's very good. I don't know. I just don't like him. And even the people of Kazakhstan have come out over the years and gone, he's definitely not a representative of our country. We actually don't like it. It's like a negative. It's massive. Like, he goes, oh, I make fun of Jews. I'm Jewish. Ha ha ha. But he's making fun of Kazakhstan, the Kazakh people. And they don't like the stereotype that they've given him, that they've given their country. And I understand it's meant to be funny and all that sort of stuff. But, he's having his cake and eating it too. I'm making fun of Jews and the Kazakhstan people, but you're not allowed to make fun of Jews, but I'm allowed to make fun of the people of Kazakhstan. Well, okay, buddy, you can't have it both ways. You can't. And that's why you're not funny anymore. And that's why Borat 2 was a fucking piece of shit.
I think he played it, Borat 2, he played it too safe.
No, he played it too scripted. The best thing about the original Borat was, this is the difference between Borat 1 and Borat 2. Borat number 1 was, he was this character learning about the culture of America. And he wasn't really the funny one in that film.
Yeah.
The people around him were funny.
And it's
like the Seinfeld effect.
It was the shock humor of him going along with what they've said. Yes.
Exactly. It's that Seinfeld effect, In the show Seinfeld is the straight man, but he's, a comedian. Everyone else around him is funny. He's the straight man. He's the middle man, He was the same in the first Borat film. Again, had a few funny lines, had a few funny things, but it was that interaction that he had with other people that made what he said funny. In the second one, he had all these scripted things like the dance he did with his daughter, or going into the same. Like, how many times did he go into that place to do a telegram, and you just knew, like, yeah, this character's going to come in and tell you to write something down. Like, you just knew. It was a completely different vibe, and you could tell, like, most of it was scripted, and then the COVID stuff that went through was obviously a last minute thing that they added into the story. And that's dated that film exactly to the time of COVID. Whereas I think Borat is a little bit more timeless in that regard.
Borat is a timeless film. Yes, I do give
Yeah,
you that.
exactly right.
So
Sasha Baron Cohan, he can go fuck himself.
What do we do about the people that are now preaching in areas they shouldn't preach?
They do whatever they want. At the end of the day, they can do whatever they want. It's that libertarian debacle, right?
Yeah.
You want them to shut the fuck up, but you also want them to live their life. Great example. This was my other rant today, the libertarian debacle.
Yeah.
I went down to the park with Dweezil, taking for a walk, right?
Oh, very nice.
Perfect sunny day. Lovely day. And on the park, now this is during my lunchtime last week at work. During my lunch break, take Dweez for a walk. It's sunny. It's like 1 o'clock. Perfect weather for a walk, right? And we walk past the park. We don't walk on the park. We walk past it, right? But on the park itself, on the football oval, there's a couple of guys hitting golf balls.
As you do.
Right? Now, you shouldn't be hitting golf balls at a park. Like, across the board, the rule is you can't hit golf balls at a park. One, because of the danger factor, and two, because it's used for sport, you leave divots. Right?
Yeah, okay.
Okay, so you shouldn't be doing it. Now,
if it's
technically
a big park, if it's a big park and no one else is around and they're down one end,
go to a driving range. That's what a driving range is for.
Okay.
So this is that dilemma, right? They're not hurting anybody. No one else is on the park. But technically, no one can use the park because that they're there. Right? So,
okay.
Should I tell them off? Or do I just keep ignoring them like I've just been doing?
Well, are you
again, as a libertarian, it's like,
are you going to be impacted at the park?
Well, I would have liked to let Dweezil off the lead and let him run around, but I don't want him to get hit by golf balls or have the potential of being hit by golf balls. So it actually stopped me from doing what I want to do, which was perfectly legal. But then it's technically illegal, but it's only illegal if no one gets hurt.
Right.
The libertarian debate there, in my head, it was playing with me all fucking weekend, and I was going to bring in next week once I thought about it a little bit more, but now it's all that. Everyone can do whatever they want, I guess, but just, I think when you're doing the wrong thing, the wrong place, I know it's a lot of money to go to a driving range. I call $20 to hit 100 balls. Just
pardon?
It's all $20 to hit 100 balls at the driving range. It's a if you're playing golf, you have enough money to go to a driving range.
Yeah, true. I can't argue that one.
Yeah. All right, Kieran, you got some news or a rant? Jesus, this is a long episode, but I guess
I do indeed. No rant for me this week, other than I've got a cold and I don't like it. Missing man found dead inside Spanish dinosaur statue.
Fantastic. How did that happen? How does that happen?
Police in Catalonia are investigating the death of a man who is thought to have become trapped inside a large dinosaur statue while trying to retrieve his mobile phone. Officers were called to the statue in Santa Coloma, I don't know. Anyway, town near Barcelona, after a man and his son noticed something inside the paper mache Stegosaurus on Saturday afternoon. A spokesperson for the regional police force said the 39-year-old man was not being treated as suspicious.
What?
Yeah.
Wait a second. So there's a guy dead stuffed in a paper mache dinosaur, and
Yes.
it's not suspicious.
Correct.
That is the most suspicious thing I've ever heard in my life.
It is an accidental death. There was no violence. The person got inside
What?
the statue's leg and got trapped. It looks as though he was trying to retrieve a mobile phone, which he dropped.
Oh, so he wasn't dead.
Yeah.
I thought you said he was dead.
No, he's dead. He died in this statue.
Oh, so he did die. Oh, okay. So, okay. It's still a bit sus.
It is a little
Still a bit sus. Like, if you're around a dinosaur and you somehow lose your phone in the dinosaur, you would think you would be around somebody else.
It's paper mache.
Yeah.
Just tear it.
It's paper mache, yeah. How thick is this
almost
paper
like,
mache?
It's almost like the person who's so scared. What's the parable? The person's walking in a cemetery and is so scared or something like that, and bends down to tie the shoe, and he's wearing a sword, and the sword like sticks through the coat, like the coat, and then like traps
I
him.
don't know
and-
this
and-
parable.
Yeah, and then the police find the person the next day, and they're dead. And he panicked so much that he didn't take his coat off, and just froze to death. It sounds a little bit like that.
It's. I'm not quite sure of that parable. Which Bible are you reading?
I don't know. It's in one. It's
I
probably
don't know if it's
yours.
a parable. Well, I've got a guy. Now look here. I've had I've had surgery on my leg before.
Yeah.
And it was scary happening at the time.
Mhm.
But how's this? Man has wrong leg amputated and tragic is in quotes. Tragic hospital mix-up.
Oh no.
So this guy, it's in Austria, right? The guy is 82 years old and he needed his left leg removed at the mid thigh, right? So that's quite a way up his leg.
Yeah.
Due to and what they call a human error, his right leg was amputated instead.
That's not good.
Amazing. So what was the issue? Now I remember when I got my leg, like had surgery on it to get some metal in there and fix up the broken bone. They marked which leg, like they put like big circles around the leg or the spot that they were gonna work on. So they knew when they got into the surgery they wouldn't fuck it up because they right left leg circle the place, and what roughly they were gonna do while I was still awake. So that way I can go, no, it's definitely the other leg if there was an issue. Apparently they didn't do that. They didn't mark down his leg or anything like that.
Oh, no.
So he's gone into surgery, woken up, and the wrong leg has been cut off because they didn't mark it up. So how's this? This is the best bit of the story, in my opinion. He still needs to get the other leg amputated.
Mm-hmm.
And to help him out, they've offered him psychological assistance.
Get a lawyer and sue. That's what I would say. Get a lawyer and sue.
I would say, yeah, I think the hospital should just give him money until, and for the rest of his life. Start off with them, how much they think a leg is worth to a human person, and double it, and then go from there. I think. But can you imagine, like, oh, sir, we're very sorry. We have to put you back under, cut the other leg off. So now you're not just hopping around on a crutch or you can use like one synthetic leg. And then, and now he's wheelchair bound forever and just gets psychological testing. Yeah, poor man doesn't have a leg to stand on. Oh, amazing. That is... I like how they've called it tragic in quotes, and it's human error. I think there's a little bit more going on than human error than that. Maybe someone had a vendetta against him. But that's amazing.
Or incompetence.
I know a doctor that's incompetent.
Setting yourself up for that too good. Redongo, yes, that was great.
I got another story. I got a quick story before we watch some conspiracy theories if you want.
Shut up for a sec.
All right.
A couple, uh, a couple has got married on an aeroplane to avoid COVID restrictions on wedding guest numbers. How good is that?
It's amazing. How many people can fit on a plane? Like 200?
Depending on the type of
More?
plane.
Yeah.
A wedding on a chartered flight has won 4 marks for ingenuity, but is under investigation over the violation of COVID safety rules.
Oh,
The
was it
bride and groom
though?
and their families hired a space jet. So this is in India, Boeing 737 plane. So that's about 250 people.
That's a fair amount. I mean, you're going to include the catering staff and the dancers, so knock off 50
Well,
people.
but isn't that just not brilliant? And you can party and
That's great.
dance
Do whatever
and
you
fly
want.
around.
You're already in the
Yeah.
air.
I think
Good
I
on
know, I
'em.
thought that was brilliant. Yeah.
That's pretty great. As long as they weren't covering, as long as they weren't drinking cow urine and covering themselves in cow dung at the wedding, like we discussed last episode in India, I think we're going to be alright. But I think the people that can hire out a whole jet for a wedding, I don't think they're the same people that are doing those certain activities. I don't know how we missed this article last year, Kieran, around Christmas time, but Walmart at Christmas time last year, I had to bring it in because I needed your opinion. Christmas time last year, Walmart debuted the My Life as Autism Advocate doll.
The what?
So they've released a new doll as part of the My Life as series of dolls, and this one here is the Autism Advocate doll. So this it's the perfect companion apparently for kids who want to help others to learn how to be kind, patient, and support everyone, especially people with autism. So it's a doll, and apparently the doll is designed to look like it has autism. It's a female doll. It comes in black and white, dark skin, light skin, and
okay, this is a little bit. I have to say, this is a little bit wrong because it's only really those with Fragile X that you sort of look and go, something's not quite right. You might be autistic, right? Every other person with autism, every other person just is a standard person.
Okay, Kieran, this is where it gets funny. So it comes dressed in certain attire, and this is what killed me. It comes with a red vest with a grey t-shirt and a denim skirt. Okay, pretty normal girl attire at this point. And then the accessories is a rubber bracelet. Okay, get that. A toy cell phone. Happy with that. A fidget spinner. And headphones. And a beanie. I'm like, okay, man, are they taking the piss? And then I scroll down the article and find out more, right? And they're going to continue to expand this selection. So previously in the year, they had already had like a gymnast doll, a gymnast, like, you know, a girl that did gymnastics, again, black and white. And I'm like, oh, what's wrong? Like, you know, that sounds like a pretty normal Barbie doll that you can get, like, you know, gymnast Barbie with the ribbon and all that sort of stuff. What's so special about this gymnast doll? It has a prosthetic leg. and yeah, we all are, Redongo. We all are, I think. But I'm like, okay, that's such a niche market. Like, I think girls that do gymnastics and have prosthetic legs, I think are just as many people in the world that did and have more than 100 people in their brain.
Oh, good on him. Good on him.
You know? Okay, now, they've got one more doll, which apparently is coming out soon, and I think this is the one I want. And I think this one's the worst one. The My Life as a Survivor doll. And it's a doll that has cancer.
You know, kids just want to play with dolls.
Now look, I remember as a kid, like what I wanted. Like I was a gymnast and then I played soccer and all that sort of fun stuff. But you know what? Like I'll say dolls, but action figures that I wanted. I wanted all the Power Rangers. You know, I didn't want someone that was exactly like me. I wanted something to aspire to. I wanted to be the hero. I wanted, the Power Rangers I wanted, Spider-Man I wanted, all that sort of fun stuff.
Yeah.
I never went, you know what I really want? I want a short, stubby Italian boy that is also a soccer player. Like, I never wanted that. I never wanted that doll.
I want a balding.
I would love a 30-year-old male,
glasses,
30-year-old male doll that
two fillings in their teeth,
drinks too much, wears glasses, grows a terrible beard. That's the doll that I'm after. Goes to the gym and is still fat. That's the doll that I'm after, right?
Goes to the gym 4 days a week and is still fat. Yeah. That's the doll I want. Or action
Perfect.
figure.
That's it. Coming soon to the fictional We Only Do One Take podcast merchandise. We've got the worst list of merchandise: spoons, collectible spoons, and one-off dolls of us as children, but looking exactly the way we do now. Fantastic.
Oh, and mine will say jumper with Deacon.
Oh yeah, can you even? But it actually is just a jumper that says Deacon, but Deacon is written like in terrible font, slightly crooked. That's all the news I've got today. Look, I wrote all these notes, and it's all me. I was angry at Sasha Baron Cohan this morning when I wrote the notes before I did my COVID test, and then they shoved that thing in my nose, and just wasn't feeling it anymore.
I know. I'm not sure if Alice is still here or not, but she can back us up. We've talked shit for 51 minutes. We're doing pretty well.
We're doing pretty well.
Yeah.
It's pretty easy when we're doing it for 146 episodes. Oh, do you want to do a little bit of conspiracy theories?
Yeah, let's do a little bit of conspiracy.
So last time we left off, we were learning about sacred geometry and how sacred geometry is in everything from sunflowers to spirals to dolphins to the Fibonacci sequence to phi and all that sort of stuff, all those ratios. And here we go. We're continuing on. We're adding it to the stream as we speak, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to watch a little bit more of the spirit science video. I think this is about 24 minutes in if you'd like to take a look at it yourself on their own YouTube channel. But obviously, you want to watch it here. Here we go, adding it to the stream. It's going to be good. It's going to be good. You know you love it, Kieran.
Yep.
There's a reason for this, but we'll get to that in a moment. Let me show you the importance we used to place on this golden ratio. In ancient times, we built many structures based on phi because we understood divine proportion. This is the pagoda of Yakushiji Temple in Japan. It's built...
They've literally just put a bunch of ratios things next to a temple and hope for the best.
Well, we literally put a microphone next to us and hope for the best.
That's very true. It's very true. At least ours actually works. This is.
Well,
what's that?
Not when we
word?
first started.
Remember when we only had 2 microphones and we had a guest? That was amazing.
Yeah.
Don't listen to our first 10 episodes, boys.
with these same mathematics, from the doorway to the ball on top of the temple. It is a structural embodiment of the proportions that all life holds. The Parthenon in Greece also has the exact same mathematical structure, but even more.
It's a Fibonacci. It's a Fibonacci.
Yes, it is a Fibonacci. You did it, Kieran. You found your Fibonacci.
I recommend watching Nova's Secrets of the Parthenon if you wish to learn more about this, because the stuff that they find is really cool. The Great Pyramid in Giza also has these proportions. They're incredibly precise, perfect in every way. You'd think that by building these structures using the logical and mathematical proportions so carefully that they would hinder the creativity behind these buildings, but they really don't. In fact, the left brain understanding all of this can even enhance creativity if used correctly. It makes me wonder about all of the world-famous buildings of the modern world. Could phi be a large factor in what makes them stand out? Let's move on to our next sequence, which is called Fibonacci. Now, the Fibonacci sequence is life's way of creating the golden mean. Allow me to explain. This sequence is continually made from adding the previous number to the current.
I know you like your Fibonacci sequence. There's a whole song or album by the band Tool that apparently uses the Fibonacci sequence to create the song in some way. I don't know. I can't remember which one it is, but you should look into it because it sounds like you'd be up for that. But you're right, Redongo. It's almost like the pyramids are made of triangles, right angle triangles, and they sort of just naturally work. Who would have thought?
1 is 2. 2 and 1 is 3. 3 and 2 is 5. 5 and 3 is 8. You can see how it continues. Now, what most people don't know about Fibonacci is that it actually continually strives closer and closer to the phi ratio. By dividing the current number into the last, you can see this happening. 1 into 1 is 1. Well, that's not close at all. 2 into 1 is 2. This time it's over phi, but closer. 3 into 2 is 1.5, which is under, but closer still. 5 into 3 is 1.666. This time it's over, but even closer. Continuing with that, it's 1.6, and then 1.625, 1.615384, 1.619...
They've done this curve, right? But if they're saying the baseline is 1.618, and then you've got the point sets 1 and 2, and then 1.5 and 1.66, it wouldn't be like a curve, like a parabola or anything. It would just be like jagged sawtooth. That's how you would connect up the dots.
Yeah, it's interesting that it's curved. Yes.
Yeah, the curve is just something that they've added to make it look nicer, but it would just be up, down, up, down, up, down.
What is the point of this
straight
ratio?
line? It's used for buildings.
Oh, okay.
Apparently. Well, we'll find out.
0.048, and so on. It continually oscillates over and under the phi ratio, never quite making it there, but continuing on closer and closer every time, until eventually you can't even tell the difference. Because phi is an infinite number, this sequence will go on forever. Let's look at some spirals in nature, another way that phi and Fibonacci can manifest. This is a nautilus shell. Many people will say it's phi, but it's really Fibonacci. See how when it's in its earliest form, it's crude, not smooth or anything? One look and you can tell that's not phi. But as it goes up farther and farther, it gets closer and closer to phi. It becomes a nearly perfect phi spiral by the time it's all the way out here. This also happens with sunflowers, pine cones, and many plants in nature. In many cases, such as the pine cones and sunflowers, it flows in a double spiral or more, much like the spiraling arms of a galaxy. From the microcosm to the macrocosm, spirals are always present. So phi is basically source, or spirit, or God, in a mathematical way of thinking.
There you go, Kieran. So your God is
That's a big jump.
Your God is phi.
All right, the logic of this is a can of Coke, and this can of Coke also just equals when I drink it, I'm smart.
Yep. This is also a random number that has some sort of similar properties all over nature. It's also God. Like, that's the jump that they've... I'm interested. All right, I'm interested. I want to know how this... What Fibonacci is in comparison to phi in this sense.
The math of God. Don't forget that this sequence is an intimate part of nature itself. I'm going to call it source. It is the source of all mathematical sequences, and all life in existence grows based on phi. However, phi has no beginning and no end. Life doesn't know how to deal with that. It's like source says, go and replicate this, and life says, we don't know how. Because life doesn't know how to create from something that has no beginning. So it creates the Fibonacci sequence instead, which has a beginning, but starts out crude, very basic, and then continually goes closer and closer to source, becoming more divine every step. It does take steps too, which actually has quite a bit to do with evolution. Let's move on for now, though.
So eventually, Kieran, our next step in our evolution, we're going to be floating.
What? Okay.
Come on, you're the fireman here, and the Fibonacci man. We're getting there. Getting there.
I want to float.
The only other sequence you need to know for this is binary sequences. This is a sequence like 2, 4, 8, 16, 32. We're just doubling the last number instead of adding it to the previous one. We're all very familiar with this. Binary sequences are found in life as well. For example, mitotic cell divisions are binary. We go from being a single cell being to having over 100 trillion cells in only 46 divisions. Binary sequences are also how computers work, by turning on and off chips. Computing at its core, anyways, is binary. This is how a polar graph...
Yeah, computing at its core is binary.
Zeros and ones.
Yes.
Maybe you do have to watch out for the occasional 2.
Oh, it's like Bender. Oh, he's having a nightmare. I thought I saw a 2. Let's have a look a little bit more.
usually looks, with 36 radial lines in 10-degree increments, representing the 360 degrees. Then, concentric circles are drawn, each with the same distance away as the last, creating 8 equal demarcations as the one before, counting the inside circle as 1. Think about what this represents too. It's a 2-dimensional drawing of a 3-dimensional sphere, one of the sacred forms, by projecting it onto a flat surface. This is also called a shadow form, and casting shadows is a sacred way to obtain information. Also, a polar graph has both straight, male lines and circular, female lines.
Turch, the only way a shadow is ever helpful is when you need to know that it's midday and you can start drinking.
Or you're walking down the street and you want to see if someone's behind you or something like that. Or standing... A shadow helps when it's really hot on the beach and you can stand in the shade.
Yeah, that does help too, yes.
Yeah.
But it gives you information. Remember that.
I'm learning every single day. I look at a shadow.
Both male and female energies interacting at once. If you plot a golden mean spiral at 0 degrees on the polar graph, it will loop all the way around before hitting 0 again, exactly at the 8th circle. You'll find that this golden mean line crosses 5 specific places as it goes out. These places are where the female circular lines meet the male lines. It crosses at 120 degrees, 190 degrees, 240 degrees, 280 degrees, and then it jumps to 360, or back at 0, depending on how you look at it. What's interesting about this is that it creates both a binary and Fibonacci sequence. Looking at the radial increments from the center...
I don't think that's true.
I just love it how you can put lines anywhere and then just make stuff work.
The more I look at this and how this number system is working, I don't think this would actually work. And you're right, Kieran. You could actually put numbers. You could make this spiral bigger or this spiral smaller, and it would just have different reference points. This is like that argument with... I'm sure they're going to talk about it, about how music is... We tune music as the note A, and that's our reference point. And music is... That A note is the frequency 440 hertz. And that's just what Western music has decided is to be consistent across the board. But there's nothing stopping you from tuning your instruments to 320 hertz or 450, whatever it is. But people have gone, but 442 hertz is the natural way of humans' ears developed. But I guarantee you, if I played like 4 notes, one at 428 hertz, one at 432 hertz, or one at 440 hertz, your ear, because the way the human brain works, the higher the pitch, the nicer it will actually sound to your ear.
Turch, a person's not...
It's just an arbitrary number.
But Turch, they're not going to know that until they've had 6 attempts of it being different at a different frequency.
That's right.
And then they'll be like, hey, it's a little bit different.
It's very true. We've only proven that today on the show. But let's see. I bet you they're going to talk about how music is not right. The way we do it, we should do it differently.
Crosses at 1, 2, 3, 5, and 8. Well, that's Fibonacci. But it also crosses at 2, 4, and 8. Well, that's a binary sequence. We're going to look at the binary sequence in particular, though, because what you find is very cool. If you draw lines from the outermost circles on the lines where the binary sequence was formed, you get this image. It is an equilateral triangle. If you continue the spiral outward, it would continue to hit these exact same places and continue to form larger equilateral triangles. Let's divert yet again to look at something very interesting. There was a man named Keith Critchlow who discovered something very important to understanding the geometry of music. First, he drew a straight line through an equilateral triangle, and then he measured from the middle of the center line and drew a straight line up to the top edge and back down to the bottom corner. Then he did the same, but passed through the center line of the top and back down again. He did this yet again on the other side. You can keep doing this on either side as well. By drawing this funny little form, he discovered something of great importance. He writes, "Continuing in this way, each successive proportion will be the harmonic mean between the previous proportion and the total length, and all of these proportions will be musically significant. 1/2 being the octave, 2/3 being the fifth, 4/5 being the major third, 8/9 being the major tone or step, and 16/17 being the half tone or step."
Okay, I actually know a little bit about this because I'm a musician, I'm a nerd, and I know about this sort of ratio sort of things. So again, this is a ratio type of... Back in the day, the relationship between notation or between two notes was different on every single octave or between every single note. So these days, no matter what key you play in, despite what Spinal Tap tell you, all the keys have the same tonality. So if you play like a C major scale and a D major scale, they're both going to sound roughly the same because the relationship between the notes are the same. Whereas back in the day, the relationship between the notes in a C major scale and a D major scale actually had different ratios between each note, causing it to sound subtly different. Nowadays, the ratios across the notes are always the same, so it sounds the same across the board. But back in the day, it used to sound different, and that's where you get these are consistent sort of... Right. I can't remember the special word. So it's a bit of a thing. So back in the day, yes, D minor might have actually sounded like the saddest key because of the relationship between notes in the scale. But nowadays, it's actually very consistent. It's called, I can't really true harmony or balanced harmony or something like that.
So Turch, if I was to play chopsticks,
yeah.
If
you were to play chopstick on a regular piano, you could play it in any key and play the notes responding to the right key, and it would sound okay. If you were to play it like on an old-timey piano, then you could only play it in one key. Every other key will actually sound wrong.
Got it. Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe we've gone too a little bit more.
All right.
In other words, he discovered the geometries of music, or at least one aspect of them. Then he tried measuring it in a different way, starting at a different point of the center line. At 3/4, he found the measurements were 1/7, 1/4, 2/5, 4/7, 8/11, and 16/19. All of these numbers are musically significant. This is very interesting. It means that the harmonics of music are somehow related to the proportions of the central line moving through a tetrahedron. Back to the polar graph, you can see that
it's just because how frequency works is okay.
Turch, what I think you're missing, and let me tell you, what I think you're missing is that this triangle and these sounds are going to be the frequency required to get the space Jews here on Earth.
And that's how we know we've come to an end of the show. I would like to thank everybody for coming in and watching the show live. We'll put this up on our regular feed, and if you'd like to follow us on YouTube, please click the subscribe button. It really does help us out and shares the live streams with everyone involved. But for all your other wanking needs, make sure you follow us on SoundCloud, the iTunes, Spotify, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. And if you'd like to send us some death threats, some hate mail, or a rant, record on your phone and email us at weonlydoonetake@gmail.com. Kieran, thank you so much for being on the show today. Always exciting to have you on the show.
Always. And I may be a little bit slow, but I get there and I get your shenanigans.
Well, and you know what? Let's play the theme tune at the slowest thing and dance it away, and we'll see you all next Thursday. It's my song. Can you imagine if I got it all the way down to the speed?